Howdy folks, one of the ways to keep 3D printers running is sometimes have some backup power. Now you would need something like this, but you'd also need some solar panels outside, whatever, to keep things going. This is the new one from Vtoman, and it's been called a solar generator. So we're going to get this thing out of the box, go over the specifications, and see if it really is it's a power station, but it's a solar generator. Is there a difference? Maybe. Well, I opened up the box, and so we don't need the box anymore. So I've got the unit out here, and it came with this. Some really cool Vtoman, we'll call it the Vtoman stickers. He has a whole collection of them here for your car. Because this is a lot about RV, camping, and just basically power in general. But it's also great for emergency power, because God knows we have the power go off here all the time. In fact, when I'm running my 3D printers these days, I get really nervous about the possibility that we might have a lightning storm or a windstorm or something, and the power will, blink off or something. So I really don't like that. Yeah, And so here's this really nice unit. Now, there are some people, there's a lot of folks out there will say, well, 600 watts isn't a lot, but then it's not a lot of, it's not heavy, which is a good thing. But 600 watts will run my refrigerator, for example. We found that out because we had Hurricane Beryl come through last year, and one of the units I used was a 600 watt system. But how that system worked was there were actually two systems in place. And the 600 watt system was tied to a single 400 watt solar panel. So basically that setup could keep my refrigerator running all day long. Yeah, and it did. And actually by the end of the day, the system wasn't empty. This had not, the 600 watts had not, we had not run out of battery power with the power station. And then I had a secondary system. So the secondary system had stored power all day long and is a 5 kilowatts storage system. That's a lot of power. So we would switch over to that at night, and that way that system could carry the refrigerator throughout the night. The next day, when the sun came up, we'd go back on our little 600 watt system and continue to run the refrigerator, while the 5 kilowatt system had the entire day to do nothing but fully charge back up. And I was kind of surprised it worked. Now, it worked because refrigerators don't pull 400 watts or whatever all day long. They just don't. And in fact, they cycle. And if you have it's a side-by-side. It's a full-size side-by-side. It's only a couple years old. Bought at Lowe's, and it runs approximately around, we're going to say 300, 350 watts, whatever, when it's under full load compressor, it's cooling down. But that only lasts for 10 or 15 minutes, and then it goes offline. Now, it'll stay off for sometimes, depending on how much, you open the doors and whatever, it could stay off for hours, before it would kick back on again. It also had an ice maker, and never thought about it. The ice maker was actually, it sucked quite a bit of power. The whole thing is, we were able to get through day after day after day and keep, we had cold drinks, ice, TV on, the whole 9 yards, and internet. And we were using systems like this right here, 600 watts, that's all. And like I said, yet I've got people that will yell at me and tell me that 600 watts, well, that's no good, it's too small. It's too small for what? I don't know. It seems like it's plenty of power for emergency needs. And emergency needs, yeah, we have them. So anyway, this is a Vtoman, and it's called a solar generator. Now, it's also on the box here, it says power station. So one of the things, here's the box here for the cables. Let's see if we can get all this opened up. I imagine we'll have several different systems to charge, but let's take a look and see what we have. Oh, wow, different again. Okay, so there's the 110. So a lot of times with especially with 3D printers, it's really cool to have something like this. You plug this in the wall, charge it, at the same time plug your printer in here, and you can be running your printer. If there's a power failure, this will keep it going, and the 3D printer hopefully will just keep right on sailing and making your print while the power's off. And if the power's only off for 5 or 10 minutes or even an hour or something, that's fine. This will come back on and start charging and continue to keep the printer going. So it's kind of an interesting, very powerful kind of backup, for power. Let's see, we have, let's see, USB original to USB, looks like USB-C, I'm going to call that. And then I've got USB-C to USB-C. And then we've got, okay, yeah, this is where things get a kind of, okay, this gets confusing. This is obviously a cigarette lighter plug, and it switches over to a what we call a DC barrel plug, and I can't remember the size, but I think this is like, I think it was 3.5 millimeter plug, something like that, but it's a barrel plug, and that's something that Vtoman, I didn't think they would do this on this unit. They really did. Let's have a look at the actual, where the charge goes in. Solar. Let's talk about some of the quick features. These are, these are things like you sort of expect them to be on a power station or solar generator. And one of the things is right here is the USBs. You have the USB-C, but you also have the original USB, the old guy that's, I think it's 18 watts or something. But the USB-C can go up to something like 100 watts. But again, you can charge your phone, your laptop, whatever, off of this, or some other device that you need to charge up. A lot of times, you can plug into these and get the charge right off of this. Now, this can be charged several different ways. In fact, I think that's one of the things I need to jump on is, I'm going to jump on this right now. This can be, this comes like this, but you can buy an expansion system, and it will plug in right here, which will give you another battery that I believe is something around 1,500 watts of storage, something like that. Amp hours, I think they call it. No, not 15 amp hour. That would be a lot. But it's about 1,500 watt hour, something like that, and that would that obviously would just about, man, that would be like 2,000 watts altogether, 2,000 watt hours. So yeah, you got to watch the way I say that. Yes, but the right here you have different ways of bringing the power in to charge it, and one of the things this has got, but it's not included in the kit here, the cables, but it does come with the Anderson plug, which is if you have some solar panels, especially if you're camping, but even myself, I have panels out in the driveway right now on a skid. Now, a couple things to talk about. Those panels can be anywhere from 10 volt up to 50 volt maximum to bring charge in, and that'll surprise you. A lot of these panels that you get for like RVs or whatever that are portable, you stick them outside, they're not 12 volt or even 24 volt. A lot of times they'll be 35 to 40 volt, and they won't be very big, but they'll have a lot of like a high wattage kind of thing output. And of course they recommend using the Vtoman panel for charging this. I don't think we have, we don't have the Vtoman. We do have a set out there, and it's fairly dark and gray out there right now, so we should be safe to plug it in. And we'll plug it in right now and just see how it charges up. But you also have, of course, the cigarette lighter plug in case you have something that requires that. And also you have the little DC barrel plug, which again, there are accessories to things you can buy for camping or whatever, for lighting and stuff, that you can use the barrel plug for. And then you have these two AC outlet plugs. Now, these are rated at 600 watts each. Doesn't mean you can, put them both on, but 600 watts is what you're capable of having. So you could have 300 and 300, but you'd be maxed out. Surge, however, is 1,200 watt, which is, again, no surprise. Surge is generally double whatever the rating is. It seems like that's always the case. Now, there's one other thing for camping, so I'll just flip it around for a second. And you have a light back here again. And again, the light, it's a nice light that you can set a, dim on it sort of thing, or strobe, SOS, that sort of thing. Or just have a nice camping light for ambience. Now, there's one other feature that some of these come with them and some of them don't. I really like having it, and that's this right here. It has a little storage compartment here where you can store the cables. cut. This is nice to have because you can store the extra cables with you and bring them along, and then you can open this up and use, the cables that you need to help charge the system. Now, this one is a little on the small side, so I'm having a little bit of trouble getting all the cables in there. There we go. And see if we can close that up. Okay, it's locked down tight. Yay! Everybody's in there except this one. I left this one out because this is a barrel plug to a car charger, and I never use these. They run about 10 amps. They get pretty hot, and if your car or your truck, your RV, whatever, it does not have a good heavy-duty, connection for the cigarette lighter plug, you're going to get a lot of heat here, and it could be a problem. There's a little light here that shows you when it is connected and charging. I'm going to set this aside because, like I said, I sort of have a little bit of against those. They kind of rub me the wrong way, but we are going to go for the Anderson plug here. It looks like a 30 amp plug, so let's bring our Anderson cable from the solar package that's outside over to here and see if we can get charging this thing. There we go. Let's see, this way. Okay, we'll plug her in. And let's see if it, well, came on right away. Oh, I've got the plastic over top of this, the protective plastic still, if it looks a little weird. And let's see what we got coming in. We're showing at 89 watts, it's 92, 154. I don't expect to see much more than a couple, well, we shouldn't exceed the 200 watt limit, but we're pretty close. 175 watts coming in on a very gray, very cloudy, overcast day. And the reason I'm doing this today is if the sun was shining, we could get into some trouble. You could overcharge, yeah. But because of the conditions out there, we should not go over 200 watts because that's really, they said, you know, try to keep it under 200 watts. But it's charging immediately. In fact, we're at what, 81% or something right now, charging up. Now, the whole thing is, when I say solar generator, and this is what I've checked over their manual here, I can't find it. And these companies, they keep saying it. Some of them will tell you you can only charge with the solar and or use the AC side. When you're finished discharging, you have to put it back on solar. And then other ones will say you can run the solar in, charge the system while you're using the AC plug. I would think that if you're a solar generator, you should be able to do that at the same time. And that's my argument, I guess, with the industry. They're not really coming forward, and sometimes you got to look through the writing to find out the detail on, you know, can I or should I not do this? Because some of them, you know, at the very last page of the manual will say, oh, by the way, don't charge it with the solar while you're using the AC. That's kind of frustrating because ideally what I would like to be able to do is run the AC while I'm bringing the charge in. Sort of like using it like a small classic system where you have the control charger, you have the battery system, and you have an inverter running. You know, you have everything all going at the same time. And that's where the classic system, I really think, you know, can do a good job for you, where these some of these power stations can be kind of a problem. Now, we had the Vtoman, the big one here, right, up until only, I guess only a few months ago. We had a storm coming through, and somebody offered to buy it off me, and I was like, I've got like 12 of these things here. I was like, well, you know what, yeah, go ahead. You know, you can go ahead and buy that one off me, and you can have it for the time being because I don't need it. I already have a lot of backup systems, and so they got it, and very happy with it. Now this one here is a more compact system, but like I said, it will run my refrigerator. And when there's a storm and your power goes off, and I've asked you guys to say it, you know, priority. What's the priority? Yeah, keep the refrigerator going. Everything else sort of like is secondary. Now the next priority I would think would probably be internet or TV, somewhere between or both, you know, because that's the other thing you want, some kind of communication or hearing from the outside world what's going on if the power's off completely, and maybe how long the power might be off. And because we are in a situation here where we've had power losses that have lasted days into even weeks, yeah, it can be really annoying, very scary, you know, because you're like, you don't know when that power is going to come back on. And rather than deal with the worry thing of like my refrigerator starting to get warm after about 6 hours, everything in that refrigerator is going to be no good, switch over to some solar power and keep it all going. And we can keep it going for days, weeks, whatever. Had a lot of interesting situations with a lot of comments about from different people about gas generators, that sort of thing, and you know, storing a bunch of gasoline and running a generator to keep the place going. It is still, I think, a pretty good idea to have like a small 2,000 watt or something gas generator around that could maybe power, you know, charge this up and then go back to using this. This is pure sine wave too, by the way, so it's, you know, it's going to protect whatever, you know, you're using it for power. Let's see how we're doing now. Looks like 80, I think it's 83 or something right now. So it's, you know, it's charging up, but I can also discharge at the same time, supposedly. Now, I'm going to continue to go over the manual and see if I can find any language in here about that, because to me, that should be the difference. A power station, maybe you have to shut it down and charge it, where a solar generator, theoretically, in my mind, you should be able to run the solar in like I'm doing and be able to use these AC outlets at the same time. And that would be, you know, that'd be awesome. Because like I did with the refrigerator, ran it all day long on a system like this, solar coming in, you know, refrigerator going out. And also we had TV, fan, internet, computers running. We had quite a bit of stuff going, and we ran days on days like that without, you know, with just these solar and, you know, power stations, but also had, like I said, the 5 kilowatt system. So that really made the difference of balancing between daytime and nighttime, because overnight, let's face it, without solar and overnight, you've got quite a few hours in front of you. And if you don't have a good amount of storage, you are not going to make it. Okay, so you're a street performer in New Orleans and you want to power an amplifier. Here's a good way to do it. And this is only drawing 10 watts, by the way, right now. I'm surprised. I thought the Fender amp would suck a little more power than that right now. So we're running 10 amps, so I'm going to drain the system down. But if you wanted to recharge the system while you're using this, you would have a small portable solar panel laying in the street behind this, and plugged in, hopefully, on the Anderson cable. This is a 30 amp Anderson cable plug, by the way, in case anybody wants to know. They come in different sizes. You sort of have to watch that. Yeah, and they work well. I do like them. I use them, and the Anderson is on a lot of different stations, and a lot of different solar panels come with packages such as what I've got right here, where I have all the different, you know, barrel plugs and XT plug, that kind of thing. And also have, of course, the Anderson cable on this particular unit. This came from separate with a package from solar. And again, if you ordered the solar panel from Vtoman, you would get it with the Anderson cable, and it would be a 200 watt panel, which they recommend. Don't go over that. I did try something here while we were off camera, and we went up over 200 watts. And the system seemed to cut back to 200. In other words, it limited what was coming in. That is really good protection, because that's something, you know, if by some chance something goes wrong and you bring a little bit too much in, it seems like the unit did modify it and say, no, you're only bringing 200 in. That's all we're allowing in, kind of thing. Now, there's a good and bad to that, depending again on, you know, the size of the system. This is really small, compact. It's 16 pounds, or 15.9 pounds. So it's not heavy, which again, for camping and RVing or anything like that, having something light and portable like this can be really good too, because some of these things can get really big, stupid heavy. I've got one here, yeah, and it's, I think it's about 65 pounds. I hate moving it. It should have come on wheels. Yeah, you know, it is heavy. It will carry a large load and whatever, but what I was trying to express earlier was that even in a situation like what we had here, the 600 watt system was able to get us through an emergency from a hurricane damage where you're off the grid for, you know, days into weeks with an unknown time factor. When will the power come back on? There'll be a lot of good reasons why, you know, you could have that backup system if you want to extend the hours. Maybe try to slip through an overnight with something running, such as a cooling fan, where you could run like a nice 45 watt fan all night long or something, or keep yourself, you know, keep yourself cool. Cool, yeah, that's a good thing. And so I'm gonna see if we can run this down a little bit with something. I was gonna use this amp, but the lousy 10 watts is gonna take forever to run down. So I may have to go find something a little heavier to play with. Yeah, let's see what we can find. Well, let's do the USB thing here for a second. I'm just going to plug it into USB, turn the USB on, and we'll start this light up, I guess, and just, whoa, you know, yeah. And again, what's cool here, and I'll just sort of see if we can get a reading. It's showing that it will last like 17 hours right now with this light running. This is a fairly strong LED light, obviously. So that's cool, and I'll shut the USB system off. Now, when you turn this on or off, it's gonna light up here. I just turned the power off, but turn it back on, and this will light up. Now, if nothing is happening for 12 seconds or longer, the system will shut down on you. So that's, you know, that's sort of to protect it so it doesn't sit there and run all day long and run down. So that's cool. So let's, like I said, let's get something heavy. Yeah, a drill. Yeah, a Ryobi drill. And we'll see if we can get this plugged in. Nope, polarized. Okay, there we go. And we'll turn the power back on. AC, yep, AC on. Okay, that was 265 watts, and it showed that it will last about 1.4 hours before it's fully drained. And we're still at, yeah, we're still at 99% full. So we really haven't really bothered this thing at all for, you know, for what I've been doing. So, what can happen is if, and I'll just see if I can, you know, turn it back on. We'll start the AC, and if I can variable speed this. And let's see if we can keep it down to like 100 or so watts, 150 watts, almost 200 watts. Now, if I plug my solar in, technically I should be able to run that thing all day because I've got power coming in from the solar. They say some of these units you can damage doing that. So again, I checked their language. I can't find anything in there that says there would be any problem. So theoretically, she's a full-blown solar generator. So you can run this power. You can do the solar charge at the same time. Apparently, it doesn't appear that it would cause a problem with the unit. And I hope that's the case because they're hard to find in this industry, and I don't know, not really sure. I think what it is it's compact, but it does have cooling fans. Again, do not leave this out in the rain. Not a good idea. Do not let children play with it. Yeah. Place it in a nice flat area like this and allow these cooling fans lots of room to get air into them, and that will give you the best life you're going to get out of a system like this. Over 3,000 cycles is the rating on it. Now, that cycle rating is really interesting because a lot of people will tell you, and including me, I will say that it will go well over 3,000 cycles. In fact, what you're really looking at is the batteries over time. So it might take 10 years, maybe they'll go down to like 80%. So in other words, this thing is still going to work. It's not going to stop at 3,000 and go, you know, I don't work anymore. It's just that it may not fully charge anymore. Now, also charging. 80% charge can be reached in about an hour if it's plugged in. Now, if it's plugged in on AC, it will draw 400 watts, but if it's on solar, 200 watts. So obviously 200 watts is going to take longer to recharge, but if you're not using 200 watts or, you know, out of the AC, then, you know, the charge is going to be pretty quick. I would calculate, just say, okay, seeing it's a 600 watt system that holds about 600 watts of, you know, 600 watt hours, whatever, that you're looking roughly, you know, 2 to 3 hours on solar, but to get 80%, apparently less than 2 hours on a 200 watt panel. So that's pretty cool. Interesting, you know, calculation stuff. Okay, one little quick correction on that storage thing. It's 500 watt hour. Okay, so it's less than 600. I thought it would be about the same as the output here on the AC, but it's not. It's 500 watt hour, which means you're storing 500 watts worth of energy that will last a whole hour before this thing is dead. Yeah. And hopefully you wouldn't do that. Link will be in the description below. Yeah, and check back. I might have a coupon code, or, you know, get you a discount or something later on. Sometimes weeks later, they send something over, and we post it in the description below afterwards. But you know, if it's a week or something, sometimes people don't realize they can go back and sometimes say, "Oh, there's a coupon now." Oh, okay, great. You know, but in the meantime, we've got a sale price on it, so that's cool. Now, this is the part I always try to get into with a tool like this sort of thing. Like that's you know, who is this for? And obviously, the very first thing that anyone is going to come up with, you know, it's RV camping, you know, any kind of remote camping, that sort of thing, where you want to have some power with you. Yes, that's really one of the major deals. But even if you have a large property and your extension cords don't reach out to where you need to run a power tool or something, sometimes you just grab this, take it out there with you, and you can have that there to run a drill or a small power saw, a sawzall, you know, something like that. So They're really handy. Boy, they're really a lifesaver for that. But also backup power for like a computer or 3D printing, yeah, or any kind of backup power where you need something on standby. I don't know what else. I can't think of anything offhand that would require it, but if you did need it, you know, boom, there it is. The other thing that I like personally is standby power for the house. You know, if you need it for a storm situation or where you have your power going off on you a lot, like we do, you know. And you could be in like an apartment, condo, something like that. You could, again, this would be great for that because it's portable, it's light, it's fairly decent. And if like, I'm just going to say an apartment for example, or condo, you could stick a 200 watt, you know, panel out there and you could have some power, maybe enough to keep the fridge going for the day while the power is off or something at the condo, or if you need TV communications, internet, you know, modem power, that kind of thing, something like this. And a modem doesn't take a lot. I think it's around 35 watts, somewhere in that range, usually with most of them. Some of them get a little heavy, but again, you know, it would give you internet or something if that's what you needed. But apartment dwellers, condos, or homeowners, and especially like larger landowners. Also, if you're working remote on a piece of land that where you're developing or something, and you want some extra power for some power tools, or you want to be able to just, you know, charge some stuff up, even your cell phone, you know, something like this, you got more than enough power. Anytime you're going into like a building where there's no lighting, like a large shed or something, you might want to take this with you. You can plug lights and power tools into it for a bit, you know, use it out there. There is just, I guess there's a vast number of reasons, of applications, and I think this one here is really good, primarily between the 600 watts, which is, like I say, it's decent, and because it's just light enough that it's portable. On the other hand, you can put this extension on here and have big battery backup system, you know, a good sized battery backup system to it, which would allow you that, you know, run that, whatever that is, for a longer, you know, period of time. And also you don't need to invest a lot in solar power because obviously you're only going to be able to bring 200 watts in. So I would highly recommend, if you're going to do the panel thing, probably get to the Vtoman 200 watt panel that is, you know, recommended for this particular unit. It'll just keep you out of trouble because, like I said, this one I've got out there right now theoretically is twice the size of what you're supposed to have in here, but the sun is shining, so I'm not going to hook it up now because I'll probably have 400 watts coming in, but I don't want to overcharge. That's another thing. You don't want to leave the solar panel on it, sort of thing. You could overcharge the system, maybe damage it. I don't know. They say you can, so it's like yeah, it was in the manual, you know. So anyways, great item. Thank you so much, Vtoman, for sending this over so we could have a look at it. And I think that in terms of the usefulness of it, it would really amaze you how much use you can get out of one of these. I have used them for a lot of crazy sudden, you know, requirements where I needed just plug a tool in somewhere on the property, and it's like, man, I'll just drag one of these with me. I'll have all the power, you know, just like being at the house and plug into the wall. I got the power there. Hey. Thank you so much for watching Coffee Tools, and please like, share, subscribe, and ring the notice bell. This was Thursday's show, and we might have something tomorrow. The new 3D printer is here, so I'm going to be happily opening the box and checking all that out, I guess Friday or something. And as we slide into the weekend, we'll see what we're going to be doing, because I've got to move some furniture around and get ready. Oh yeah, lots of cool things happening. In the meantime, I'm done. Over and out.